Welcome, everyone. This is the OpenStreetMap Windsor-Essex Intro to JSM. So tonight, what we're going to be doing is going through how to, the very basics of how to use JOSM and what it's used for. Okay, so the thing you can see on my screen right now is the download page for JOSM. Depending on which operating system you are on, you're going to want to click on the download. There's more instructions on the page. For example, for Windows machines, you can follow this. And if you have a Mac, you can follow this. If you're trying to install JOSM on your machine and something's not really working right, feel free to message me, Randy Topliff, on Discord. I'm on the Hackforge Discord. You can message me there and I'll try to help you out as best I can. We're not going to go through the process of installing it. I already have it installed. But if you need to get it installed, this is the page you want to go to. So it's in the wiki and it's in the download section. So wiki and then JOSM. If you can click right here on the download page. And away we go. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, I'm going to quickly jump over to the JOSM screen. So if you have it installed, this is what you should see. Again, how to run it and install it for your particular operating system will vary. I'm not going to go into details, but again, if you're having issues and you need some help, I am on Discord. You can ping me at Randy Topliff. I don't really know what channel you could ping me in, just any of the channels, I guess, general, if you not really sure, and I'll try to help you out as best I can. Okay. Alrighty. So this is the page that you first get to, and this usually has a bunch of various information like the latest builds. It might have some other details or maybe even some change logs or stuff like that. So always make sure to kind of review this. And if you're using an outdated version of JOSM, there will be a little prompt up here that will say that you're using the latest version. You should go download a new one. Depending on how you installed it, it may or may not be able to update itself. Okay. So one of the first things it shows you is getting started. It says here we can download existing data, which I will show you how to do using the download button, which we'll do very shortly. And it also links to this introduction page. So we're going to jump back to Chrome here. And we're going to look at this introduction page real fast. So this basically has a very brief TLDR of a lot of the stuff that we're going to cover in this session. So, but this is a good reference point. If you maybe forget or can't find the part in the video, you can reference it here. There's not really too much to this, but this is basically what we're going to be going through tonight, but slightly more detailed. So I'm not going to go back to this page. You can find it under the wiki, and it's under the introduction page under the wiki. Okay. All right. So we're going to go back to JOSM. And one really important thing to remember is that you must remember the golden rules of OpenStreetMap. When you're doing any sort of edit, you must not copy from other maps. Those other maps are copyrighted. You should not do that. And of course, always have fun. All right. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to go through some settings, and we're also going to look at how to attach your OpenStreetMaps account so that you can actually make edits using the JOSM software. Okay. So the first thing what we're going to do is we're going to go to there's File, then we have Edit, and then we go to the Preferences. Now, there are a lot of different keyboard shortcuts. I'm not going to use any of them today, mostly because if I use shortcuts, it's a little bit confusing because it's meant to go quick, and I'm trying to go as slow as possible. So if you want to quickly open preferences, it's F12 on your keyboard. You can see that every single menu option here has a shortcut identifier. So if you ever unsure how to do something or want to reference the shortcuts, you can look at those there. And there are other ones as well, which again, I'm not really going to go into, but I will show you where they are and how you can go look at them. Okay, so we're going to open up preferences here. Hopefully not. Boop. Come on. Over we. Oh no. Here we go. It's going to be difficult. Come on. Here we go. Yes. I don't know why you're always so weird, but here we are. Okay. So here's the preferences window. It opened up another screen. And we're going to go through kind of like what each one of these tabs are, what all these settings do at a very high level. Again, we're not going to drill too deep into any particular one, and we're going to talk about some other settings as well. The first thing you'll notice on this window is this is usually where you start out on display. You'll see down here that I have expert mode checked. You can go ahead and check that if you like. And we'll talk more about what that is a little bit later, once we get down to the expert part of the preferences. So display, there's not really too much here. There's you can go through some of these settings and change them if you like. There's, depending on which operating system you're on, you'll have different options here. Clicking one or the other I don't think really does too much, doesn't really do much on mine until I hit OK. This you can just leave it default. It doesn't really affect, it just maybe changes the look and the feel. Different theming options depending on, again, what kind of operating system you're using. So now we're going to look at the OSM data. And again, I don't really think there's too many options here that we want to check off. The only thing that I checked off here is draw direction arrows. That's somewhat important depending on what you're doing. I just like having it as a default. I just always turn it on. You can turn this on or off if you like. You can also set it so it's only applies to like one way. That's up to you. GPS points, I'm not going to get into, we're not going to be using any GPS related stuff right now. So I'm not going to talk about any of these, but these are where these settings would be. Colors, they're basically just various different colors that are used. You can go ahead and go through all of these and change them if you like. I have them all as defaults. You can change any of them. Language, automatic, change it to whatever you like. OSM server. Okay, so this is where we're going to put in our credentials for OpenStreetMaps. Now, you could put your username and your password here. You probably see this instead of seeing this. So make sure use OAuth is selected. And then what you want to do is you want to authorize now fully automatic. And what this will do is it will bring you through a process of basically creating a token for your OpenStreetMaps account instead of using your password or your username. Okay, I am not going to do this, mostly because it shows your token. It shows the token on the screen, and I don't want to show everyone my token. So I'm going to use the basic authentication. But for right now, I'm going to leave these blank, and we'll talk about the reasons why later. Any of these other settings in here, you can just pretty much leave as defaults. Okay, so you can go through that process. It basically using OAuth to authenticate, and that's the best way to do it. But if that's too confusing or whatever, again, you can always ping me on Discord, and I'll try to help you as best I can. But if you don't want to go through that right now and you still just want to follow along, I'm going to use the basic authentication, so you can just stick with that. Okay. We'll move on to proxy. Again, Proxy doesn't really apply to anything, so I'm going to skip this one. Map projection is a big one. I leave it on the default, which is this. You can switch this whatever you like. I recommend leaving it on this default. I will show you once we open some data, I will show you the differences between it. I like this one, and we'll talk about the reasons why once we get to it. I'll circle back. Okay. So let's look at the map paint styles. So the map paint styles, you'll see there's a giant list here. If you don't see a giant list here, feel free to click this button here. And what that's going to do is it's going to refresh this list. If you haven't done it already, then this might take a hot moment or two. And basically what this allows you to do is this adds different styling options to the various different data that we would be downloading from the OpenStreetMaps, okay? So I have a few selected here. I believe the top two here are default. There's the Potlatch 2 and the JOSM default map CSS. Those are defaults. I have max speed. I also have colored streets, which adds a little bit more like a color visual to the different types of highways, basically. And then I also have another one here that shows me which roads have data about whether or not they're lit or not, okay? And I have some also this one here, but I have this one disabled for right now. So it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so if you want to add more in, you can basically just click on one of these and hit the arrow here and it will go and add it in. And if you don't want it, you can just hit the delete button here. So highway nodes, for example, I could delete it, but I'm not going to just leave it there. And that's about it. You can go through these. I'm not going to go through all of these. There's a lot in here. So I'm not going to go through them. But I will show you again how to add one. So for example, if we wanted to add colored streets, we could click that one over and there it is. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on to tagging presets. I don't think I changed anything here. Again, if you don't see any data here, make sure you click this refresh button here and it will go and grab a whole bunch of data. I would refresh these presets. I haven't played around with this too much. There are certain ones, for example, one that I did add was cycle paths. And I basically just have the internal default. Okay. So you can go through this on your own time and kind of look through and see which ones would work well for you. But for right now, I only have these two that I'm currently using. So we're going to skip file backup for now. And we're also going to skip plugins. But basically, you can add different things to make your experience a little bit better. There's a bunch of different plugins, as you can see. I'm not going to go through any of them, and neither do I have any installed. Okay, so there are no plugins that I have installed or anything like that. Okay, all right. Now we're going to look at toolbar. This I didn't make any edits to, but feel free to change this in however way you like. Audio, haven't done anything with the audio settings as well. Here you can see all of on the keyboard shortcuts, you can see all the shortcuts. There's a whole whack load of shortcuts, lots of them, and you can create your own. So go ahead, or you can change them. So have a look through here and see which ones you might want to change or see which ones are available to you. Data validation, I leave everything checked, basically defaults. I haven't changed any of these, I don't think. And tag check rules, I haven't changed as well. So this should all just be defaults. And I'm not going to really go into what this is either. Remote control, this is a more advanced thing. Not going to touch this, but if you're interested in it, there's information about this on the wiki. Now, the next important tab here is called the imagery tab. And what this allows us to do is it allows us to basically have imagery layers. And we'll talk about what a layer is in a little bit. But for example, I can have satellite views from Mapbox and from Bing. And those are one of the two that are available for us. And you can go down this list and you can find different ones. There's even, it allows you to even download tile sets as well. So I have the Cycle OSM tile set here, and I have just generic imagery. I think these are some of the default ones as well. So you can go through any one of these, and I think if you click on them, it kind of shows you what they're for. Some of them I think are related to particular regions. So yeah, there's some region for this and as well. Okay. So you can go through some of these and click through them and look at them, but the only ones that I'm going to be using are at the very top. I'll be using Bing and the Mapbox satellite views. So you want to activate those, make sure those two are activated, and all the other ones don't really matter. Okay. And you can tell if there's satellite because of it has the little satellite icons here. Those icons might be different on your machine, but that's what that is referring to. Okay. All right. Now we're going to look at advanced preferences. Now, if you don't see this tab, that's because you haven't checked expert mode. So check expert mode, go down to the advanced preferences. And basically this shows you everything, all the preferences. And again, we're not gonna go through all these, but the most important thing you can do here is you can export. You can export these, right? And why you would want to do that? Let's say you have another machine, like let's say your laptop or something like that. You can export your settings from one machine and import them into another, so you don't have to go through this whole reset up process over and over again, especially if you like certain settings or certain plugins or certain map paint styles or what have you. Okay. All right. I'm not going to show you how to do that. But this is where you do that. So that's what expert mode unlocks for you. Okay. All right. So now we can just hit OK. And that will go away. And okay, so now we've gone through all the different options. You checked all the things that you would like to enable, and now we're ready to go to start editing the OSM data. So the first thing what we're going to do is at the very top of your screen up here, you're going to see this green download button. Can't miss it. It's right at the top, third one, just below view, most likely be below view on your screen. So go ahead and click that button. And of course, the window moves to my other monitor. There we go. Of course, you're going to do that on me. Come on. Over we go. There we go. Whoa. Okay. So there we go. All right. So you probably see a view that looks like this. So how do you navigate this window, how to move it around and whatnot, is what you're going to do is you're going to right click on a section of the map, and then that's how you're going to drag it. If you left click, you're going to drag you're going to select a region to download. Now you'll notice up here in red, it says the downloaded area is too large, will probably be rejected by the server. And that's because when we're downloading data from the OpenStreetMaps, they don't want you to download a large section. This slice, even just right here, which is basically not a huge chunk of a little bit of Ontario and a little bit of United States, this would probably be in the order of a couple gigs or maybe more. So that's why they don't want you to download super large chunks. Okay. All right. So I'm going to select over here. So how do we get where we want to go? So we want to edit some data in Windsor. So what we're going to do is we're going to point our mouse generally in the area of where Windsor is. So luckily for us, we live in a pretty easy area to spot. So you have the Great Lakes here, and this Windsor Essex is probably down here. So I'm just going to put my mouse in the general area, and I'm going to scroll on the scroll wheel. Okay, I'm going to continue the scroll, and it's going to slowly zoom in. There we go. And then I'm going to just keep adjusting. So if you wherever your mouse is where it's going to zoom in. So I'm going to keep doing that. Keep zooming in. Keep zooming in. Keep zooming in. Okay. So now I've found, oops. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is, you'll notice here, it does say, downloaded area is okay. It'll probably be acceptable by the server, but we want a little bit larger area than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my mouse, maybe drag something like that. I might redo that. I'm going to get a big chunk of, might do kind of like that. There we go. That sounds okay. All right. So once I have the area that I would like to edit, and I'm not going to go into what all these other different icons are, or these different tabs, sorry, not icons, and bookmarks, bounding box, area and places, and tile numbers. I'm not going to get into that, what those are. Those are alternate ways of downloading the data. We're just going to do this because it's the easiest way to do it. So go ahead and select an area like this. And then what we want to do is we want to download. Now, always verify here that the download area is okay, because again, you don't want to be downloading too much data, because one, it would take a really long time. And two, the OpenStreetMaps server may or may not reject your download as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit download now, and it will do the thing. Oh, and apparently the server is saying that the data is too large of an area. All right. So if you get that area like I did, then what we need to do is we need to come back into here, and we need to select a new area. So I'm going to go ahead and just select kind of this area, I guess, and then hit download and try again. There we go. That worked. Okay, cool. So what's going to happen is you're probably going to see something like this. And this is a lot of information that's being thrown on the screen. Okay. And mine will probably look a little bit different than yours. And that's because I have specific map styles enabled. Remember how we talked about at the beginning? So let's go ahead and look at that right now. So at the left side, you have this new bar here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this configure the map painting style. And you're going to see it open up in the right over here. And then you can go ahead and click some of these off. So you'll see that it's already changing how the map looks. So if I uncheck all of this, this is what you're going to see. This mess of just yellow dots. So that's why we want to use styles, because this is the raw data without any sort of visual indicators put on them. So that's what the styles do. So I'm going to click all the ones that I had already. I don't think I'm going to use style colored sheets. Nah. So if you find that a particular style, so you'll notice, oh, I have it in here twice. Huh? So if you, yeah, that's why it's not going to work. Yeah. So what you can also do too is you can rearrange the order of these. It does matter because, for example, let's say that colored street is, let's say the potlatch 2 style is, adding colors to the streets. The order of these do matter. Okay. Now, to move around on the screen, just like with the other map, you want to hold down the right mouse button, and that's how we're going to drag this data. And depending on how powerful your machine is, this may or may not be a laggy experience for you. On my machine, it seems relatively okay. I can move it around quite well here. And then again, wherever your mouse is, so you also see that I'm selecting particular things here. So I'm just going to zoom in. I just use my scroll wheel. So I put my mouse generally in the area I want, and then I zoom in. Okay. All right. And that's just how you interact with the map. But this is just the data. And it would be really useful, especially since we want to add in our own bits of data, and we're going to do that. It'll be useful to see some satellite imagery. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go to the top here, and we're going to click on imagery tab at the very top, imagery, and we're going to click on, I'm going to use Bing for now. So I'm going to click on Bing aerial imagery, okay? And it might take a second for the load. And now you can see that we have the Bing aerial imagery underneath the data that we downloaded. So now if we kind of zoom in, you can see a little bit more, and you can see the imagery. Now, do note when you're using satellite imagery to make modifications that it could be slightly off. So definitely keep that in mind when you're doing your edits. Okay. All right. So at this point, it would also be nice if we can get rid of some of this clutter. So as you can see here, there's lots of buildings in here. You can see all the different housing buildings that were put in here. And there's a bunch of other stuff like I think there's some zoning information in here as well. So we kind of want to get rid of a bunch of that. It's a little too noisy for my taste. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to look at filtering. So on the left-hand side, you're going to go down to this funnel-looking icon here. Okay, it's the fourth one from the bottom. I'm going to click on that. It's going to open up a new little box window on the right-hand side. You see it's filter here. And then what you're going to do, so I have a couple filters here that I like using. And I've deleted all my filters so that we can add them in together. Okay, so you're going to hit the plus symbol here. Okay, and you're going to get this window that's going to pop up. Okay. And what we want to make sure under results, we want to make sure that add to selection is selected. That's most likely the one you're going to always use. You're probably not going to use any of these other ones, and I'll kind of explain why. I will say that how it does filtering is a little bit weird. So just a little bit of heads up. Okay. So the first thing I would like to do is I want to get rid of all of these buildings. So you can see all these buildings here. So to get rid of a building, I'm going to cancel out of this real fast, but you can go ahead and keep this window open. If you select a particular building or an object, so see how I basically just moused over this particular object and clicked on it. And what I'm going to do is on the left-hand side, the second one in the second group here, you'll see here one that looks like a bit of a tag, and I'm going to click on that. And basically what that's going to show me, it's going to show me the data tags that are associated to the object that I clicked on. So for example, if I go ahead and click on this road here, I believe this is Wyandotte. Yep, it is Wyandotte. You'll see that Wyandotte has a lot more tags, right? It has cycleway both lane, foot, yes, highway secondary, lanes 2, and a bunch of other things like it says it's lit, max speed is 50, and so on and so forth, okay? And that's how we filter things. So we use these tags to filter particular objects, okay? And I'll show you how to do that now. So what we want to filter is buildings. So I clicked on a building here, and you say building is yes, okay. So when we go back to our filter here, what we're going to do is I'm going to type in, so you're going to have to type it exactly like this. So you're going to type in the word building, and then you're going to type in equals, and then you're going to do a double quotation mark, and then you're going to type in yes, and then another double quotation mark, okay? So the word building, equal sign, oops, if I can select the equal sign, then a double quotation, okay? Then the word yes, then a double quotation mark, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit my filter, and you'll notice that all the buildings, at least some of them, kind of went away. Okay. So the reason is, let's see, building, yes. So you'll see here The reason why they kind of seem to go away, it's kind of hard to see. And it could also be, there might be a style that would make this a little bit better to see. But you'll see here that we have the buildings here are basically kind of, they have like a gray outline now. It's kind of weird. So what we want to do is we don't want to show that at all. So what we're going to click on here is this row. It says hiding filter, and we're going to check that checkbox. And what that means is it's just going to remove all of the buildings, just going to hide them completely. So that's what I want. I want to get rid of all the buildings. I don't want to see them, and I also don't want to interact with them. Now you notice some of these buildings didn't exactly get removed, and that's because some of them have different values, like house, for example. I believe this one might have building commercial. So one of the things you can do is, we can click back on this filter. We can click here to edit the filter. And instead of having yes in double quotation marks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace that entirely. So for example, if we wanted to get rid of only commercial buildings, or hide only commercial buildings, or even, yeah, we'll use commercial buildings. So I can type in commercial. Oops, I spelled commercial correctly. There we go. We hit submit filter. You'll see that the commercial buildings are now hidden. Okay. But we want to hide all buildings. I don't want to just, and I also don't want to make a filter for commercial, for house, for buildings that are apparently called yes, which is a little bit odd. There is some inconsistencies with the data, but hopefully as we start to edit them, maybe they'll get more consistent. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to have the word building here. Now, do note I clicked on this filter and then clicked here to edit it. And I'm going to have equal, and then not in quotation marks. I'm just going to put the star symbol. So that should be Shift-8 on your keyboard. And I'm going to hit submit filter. And what this is going to do is it's going to hide all buildings. Any object that has been tagged with the building tag will now be completely hidden. Perfect. So you also know here, we also have land use. So that's what this weird, you'll see this red shaped object here. So that usually highlights some like commercial zones or something like that. I don't care about that either. I don't want to see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new filter. And you'll notice up here, when I clicked on it, land use, it has residential. So again, I don't really want to see any of this land use stuff. So I'm going to hit equal, and I'm going to put that Shift-8 on your keyboard, that star symbol, and it's going to remove. Oops. Once you create that, you're going to have to click on this button here, this checkbox so it hides it. Okay. So as of right now, I've hidden most of what I don't really care about. I suppose I could also hide leisure park, I guess, but it's not really doing anything. So, and these aren't areas that I'm going to be editing. So really what I do is, before I start making edits, I just go ahead and just remove any of the data that I don't really care too much about, or it might get in my way. So buildings is a big one. And also any sort of like land use, I always get rid of. Okay, cool. So here we are. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find a place to make some edits, just to kind of show you how to do that. I'm just going to check my notes real fast here, just to make sure we haven't missed anything. I don't think so. Okay, cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make an edit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some crosswalks. So right here, you can see there is a crosswalk here and here, but not anywhere else. So it looks like that this one was added. So remember, I'm using the, so let me backtrack ever so slightly. So if you click on here, you can see so it's the first one here. This shows you the different layers. So if I click on this little eyeball here, this will hide the satellite imagery from Bing. I can also click here and I can add in other different types of satellite imagery. For example, I can click on this one, for example. Well, that's super blurry. Wowzers. All right, we're not going to be using that one, so I'll just go ahead and delete that one. And we can also try Mapbox as well. And why I do this is sometimes I like to just cross-reference different type of satellite imagery if I'm using satellite imagery to make edits. So right here, you can basically just kind of toggle between the two and you can kind of see the differences. Now, do note, as you can see here, it kind of shifts ever so slightly. It looks like it kind of shifts in this direction, kind of like in the same parallel as this road here. And the reason being is because satellite imagery is not always perfect. So we have to keep that in mind while making any sort of edits. Okay, so let's go ahead and make some edits. So to make an edit, you can edit any of these rows here. Like, for example, I'm going to go ahead and click on this crosswalk here. And I'm going to click on this. I'm going to look at what the tags are. So you can see here is crosswalk or crossing with marked, footway crossing, and highway footway. Okay. So whenever you want to be, and if you're not familiar with how the tagging works in the OpenStreetMaps data, the best thing to do if you want to add in, for example, crosswalks, which is what we're going to do today, what I recommend doing is going and looking at other crosswalks just to see what kind of things they were tagged with and why. So for example, if we go over here to this intersection, I believe this is the intersection of Wyandotte and Perrin Avenue. It definitely is. Perfect. So I'm going to click on this and have a look. So you can see here it's crossing marked, and I believe it says it's crossing marked because there's these painted lines here on the road. So I'm assuming that's why it has the tag of crossing mark. And it has a tag of footway crossing and highway footway. Okay, so it's just this line. And you'll notice here, this line basically goes from this square here to this square here. These are called nodes, and these are called, oh, there's a name for them. Pathways, I think. Oh, gosh. I know these are nodes, but I forget what the other thing is called. Wait, maybe it might tell me. No, I forget what it's called. But these are nodes, and I think we'll just call these lines for now. Sure.
Can you read the chat?
Read the chat. I can't see the chat.
Oh, you have all the monitors.
Our ways. They're ways. That's what. Yeah, because I have my notes open in the other one. I also have my notes down here too. Okay, they're called ways. Gotcha. That's what they're called. Right. Okay. So this is a way, and then each one of these is a node. So you notice here, this node has a bit of an icon attached to it, and that's because it's been flagged. As you can see here, it's marked, has its own tags associated to it. So if we click on this one, which is just, it shows up in my styles, it's just this little yellow box here, and when I click on it, it kind of turns red. It doesn't have any tags at all. But this one has tags, crossing marked and highway crossing. Okay. So now that we know kind of like what other folks have tagged crossways with, we can go ahead and follow that same idea and go ahead and make the edits ourselves. Okay. So, let's see. Okay, we're just going to do that one. That one seems the easiest. Okay, so again, we're using the Bing aerial imagery to do this. And we already have a crosswalk here. It doesn't really extend this way, or sidewalk, I should say. But I'm not too worried about that. I'm not going to be editing a whole bunch here. So I'm just going to show you how to make some edits here. Now, the reason why I want to show that is because it does, there's certain things you have to do. And I wanted to show that. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to add a crosswalk from here to here. Okay, very simple edit. Now, what you do not want to do is you do not want to do this. You don't want to just draw your way directly across. Okay, this is no good. And the reason being is because you don't want ways to just cross over each other, what you want to do is you want to intersect them with a node. How do we do that? So what we're going to do is we're going to click on this node here, and then we're going to click on this here. Then we're going to click to here. Okay. Now, the reason being is, and we can finish our crosswalk by clicking on this one over here, like so. And then it's going to want you to continue the draw. Like it might want you to click here and click here. So if you're done drawing your ways and your nodes, what I do at this point, you can't really click off this tool. I just go up here and click on this one, and then it gets rid of that. And if you make any mistakes, oh, I didn't click on that, did I? I made a mistake already, so I'll show you. I can hit Control Z, and we can go back here, and then, oopsies, hold on here. Whoop. I want to go from here to here to here. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So now we can see that we have these two lines here. And we have a node here that intersects with the street. And that's important because what we want to do is we want to tag this node here like this node here. So we want to add in crossing. We're not going to add crossing marked because there is no lines here that we can see. So we're just going to add highway crossing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So what you want to do is remember to get to this tag view here, you want to click on this tag button here, which will open this up. You want to hit add. Of course, it's going to move it to the other screen. It's going to be difficult, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Don't screw up. Don't screw up. Okay, perfect. All right, always technical difficulties. All right, so what we want to is we want to add in crossing, crossing unmarked. You notice here it has a little icon here. So I've already added a bunch of tags, so it's showing me the ones I've recently done. So we're gonna basically what you can just do is you can just type in crossing and then unmarked. And do note if oops, I do the wrong one. Oh, highway crossing, that's what it is. I guess yeah, we'll add that one in too. So we can add in highway crossing. That's what we wanted. Okay, there we go. So now it's tagged correctly, and we'll do the same thing with this one. So do note highway crossing, okay, and then we'll also add in crossing unmarked. So it automatically kind of does it for me. That's because I've done this a couple times already, so it's already automatically filling these in for me. Cool. So do note if you're editing the same part of the road as I am, and if we both commit this change up, I'm not actually 100% sure what happens. I think someone might like verify that you know, people are editing the same spot. It'll like someone will kind of fix it, I guess. So we'll see. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this way here, and I want to tag that as well. So what I want to tag it with is I want to tag it with, let's look at the other one here. So we have crossing marked. So I'm going to put the tag in crossing unmarked, and then footway crossing highway footway is what we're going to do. So yeah. And I think this one, highway crossing, just highway crossing, crossing marked. Yeah, so I could update this one too to say crossing unmarked. And then we'll do the same thing here. So we'll do crossing unmarked, add highway crossing, and then what we want to do is a footway crossing, I believe, is all the different things that we want to tag this with. Or I screw one of these up. Highway footway. Ah, that's right. Highway footway. Oh, of course, it moved it on the other screen. Footway. Okay. So now you'll see that it's styled the same as this other crossway. So that's one indicator letting me know that I kind of did things correctly, at least for what I want to be able to do. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing over here. Add my tags in, highway, footway, which is correct. And then footway crossing. And then we want to add in crossing unmarked. And there we have it. And there's my new crossway. Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to be able to upload it. So how do we do that? So what we're going to do is we can go ahead and click on this upload all changes in the active layer. So this is the layer that we have, our data layer 1. And I'm going to upload all my changes. Of course, it's going to put the window on the other screen. Why do you do this to me? Here we go. Here we go. Okay. And it's going to show you all the different things that I did, right? And if you were kind of following me along, you'll probably see the same thing. So it said I added 2 nodes and I added in some footway highways, right? And it's talking about 3. There's 3 different nodes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I believe. And it shows you where they intersect with and what objects would be modified by these changes. Okay. So that's just an easy way to verify that all of all the changes that you made, these are a good way to validate. Okay. And then from here, I basically, they want you to add in a message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just say, add in missing unmarked crosswalks. Hey, it's like I've already done this before. Here we go. So I added in this comment just to kind of like explain why I'm making the change. So I'm just adding in missing unmarked crosswalks. And this is basically explaining how I got this information, right? I used Bing Bing satellite imagery to make these changes. So that's what I'm going to select. This also helps with the validation process. Now, if you have a new OSM account, your changes will probably be checked by another person. What I like to do, or what I'm going to do for now, is I'm going to get someone to edit or to review my edits before. So if you're ever unsure if you made a change correctly and you want someone to review, that also means that your changes might not get added to the data set very quickly. Might take a couple days or so for someone to review it and approve it or something like that. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and upload. And that's basically it. Right. I need to give it my password. So here, I'm not going to check save username and password. I'm just going to copy over my stuff, paste, and copy this and paste it over here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and hit authenticate. It's going to do the thing and upload successful. And there we have it. And if I would like to verify that these changes went up, I can go ahead and go to the open street map. Whoop. Hopefully I'm already logged in. I think I logged myself in at some point. No, I did not. Okay, well, I'll just type in my email address to gmail.com. And no, I didn't mean to click that. There we go. Sure, remember me. Why not? All right, cool. We'll do that. We can go here. We can go to my dashboard, I believe. No, it's not dashboard. Profile. You'll see my edits. So I can click here and you'll see 1 minute ago, I made some changes. So I added in some missing crosswalks and I can click on that and kind of see all the changes that I made. Okay. And there we have it.
Nice.
Well, does anyone have any questions or anything like that? Oh, go ahead, Lauren. How do you manage errors? So it's a little bit weird Kind of lift them and resolve them, etc. Yeah, so if you click on the validation part, so this little checkbox here, if you run the validation, basically it's going to run it on the entirety of the data set. And then you're going to see here, so for example, you click on this and it's going to select that particular way, whatever this error is here. You can also, I think you can also go to the location of it. I think it's like down here somewhere, looks like. Wait. Why can't I go? Oh, this overlapping. Is that what this is down here that it's selecting? So this is the problem that it has. Like, it doesn't like the fact that these two shapes are overlapping each other. What should happen? Say this is part of the weird part about doing the validation stuff. Is it will validate everything. So if someone didn't do those checks and just kind of like threw stuff up there,